This is an interesting subject to me, digital measuring. Come to the age of my life when I have old eyes and I wear glasses all the time. Don't laugh at me. I do believe that digital measuring is absolutely the only way to go. And I always find it a little funny that when I go out and we look at the newer equipment, some of which is digital, especially surfacing and sanding equipment, we're giving digital measurements in 10,000ths of an inch. Now, for the machinists of you out there, that's probably completely fine. But for a woodworker, we don't need anything close to that. And if we had digital reading devices that were of a less accurate and less expensive quality, then we would have a lot more of them, and it would be a lot easier to get around. Since I talked to Tom about talking about this, I have actually found a company that does this for the home market in 100ths of an inch, completely acceptable for the woodworking industry, something that we can work with. In our industry, where we're sanding and surfacing, there are a lot of variables that don't allow us to do surfacing and work at those tolerances, and I'm going to give you a few of them here. One of them is moisture. You surface a piece of lumber and the humidity changes 20% in a day. You lost 100ths of an inch. So 10,000ths is completely unacceptable. We don't need it. You can't do it. If you're doing abrasive sanding, and a lot of these wide belt sanders that we're using now that are calibrated to 10,000ths of an inch, the sandpaper wears down as you use it. What good is that if you're measuring at 10,000ths of an inch when sandpaper's wearing faster than that? So I think it's a little bit disingenuous of these manufacturers to do this to us. It would, once again, it would be a lot better if we just deal with hundreds and get more of this stuff out here. We had a salesman come to the shop the other day. It was from Hayflum. There are a new generation of laser point-and-click measuring devices that will give you dimensions across rooms, and this is important to us because we're always dimensioning rooms to some degree or another, to the smaller parts of an inch. So you point this laser to this corner, and you point this laser to this corner, and miraculously, in between, it's measuring the time the light goes back and forth. Pretty incredible stuff. The problem is when I sit here with this 50-year-old hand and do this, that beam is going all over that wall over there. And the same thing with that corner over there. So when we're talking about the 16th of an inch of accuracy that this machine will provide, I can't hold the beam within 3 inches. So that doesn't do me a lot of good at all. Now, if you butt up against the wall and you're shooting across the room, that's completely fine. And it works well. The mechanism was made by Leica. It's a camera company. And of course, they have the best. Very good German engineering. It would seem to me that there's an easier way to do this. And I talked to my daughter's boyfriend, and he's now in his first year of college, but he's pretty computer savvy. He does a lot of work in photography. My concept was, we have digital cameras, a huge amount of information in a snapshot. If we were to take a known increment and place it on the wall right behind us now, perhaps a piece of paper with 2 marks on it, of some known increment of measurement, and take a picture of that wall, it should be reasonably simple to retrieve that increment on the computer, do some program, and use it to dimension the entire wall. Now, he says that is possible. It's in Photoshop, an expensive program. It's only in the extended version. Of course, you've got to go to heroics to pull this thing back out. But everybody's got a digital camera. It would seem to me that it would be very simple for someone to develop a program. Take the paper out there, stick it on the wall, take a picture, the painter can use it. The cabinet maker could use it. For that matter, the 4 people could use it. Everybody has to have that kind of implementation. And then go back into the computer, rather than spending 2 or 3 hours measuring the wall and dimensioning all this, it's all on the computer. Point and click what dimensions you want. The computer knows the increment, it's already there. It should read this thing out there and tell you what it is. Rather than to have all these hand clickers and drag these across the room. Yeah. I know. It takes a long time to go through. I'm sorry. That's basically what I had to talk about today. If there's any questions, I'll take 2 or 3, and then we're going to go.
AutoCAD doesn't work for you?
AutoCAD is an older program that can work with it. The learning curve on AutoCAD is
Is AutoCAD Lite, which is a simpler program?
not curve work for the most part. Not. I've talked to some architects about it, and they're in the same position. They don't do a lot of curve work because you know what? They can't bring it up and do it. And if they do, they draw it and then they scan it in. So it's not necessarily a reproducible issue to us. I have never used AutoCAD. I've never learned AutoCAD. We have used basically the CAD programs that are in our sphere, which are CAD programs. Do you do AutoCAD?
I don't, but I was a partner in an operation. We had our own cabinet shop, and we used AutoCAD successfully.
In curve work.
In curve work.
Good. Great.
Just an FYI, there's a small manufacturer in Raleigh called eTemplates. There's one of about 6 companies that makes the device you're talking about for woodworkers, cabinet makers, and so on.
That device is,
eTemplates.
and what was the device?
You put the little stickers around to the point you're interested in a room and take a picture of it.
Oh, really?
It'll give you a map back in DXF format to bring into any CAD or design program. So it's a small company in Raleigh. They won an award from IWF, but there are probably another half dozen around the country.
Well, this young man that I talked to said he thought there were probably other programs out there. But I'm lamenting the fact that it's not a simple situation. This should be out, and everyone should have access to this. Like, you know, wonder what they cost to do that. You know?
You won't like that.
I hear that.
And that's basically my problem for the small and medium-sized guy. Some of these things are out there, but unfortunately, unless that's the only thing you're doing, and that's the only tool you've got, it's kind of expensive to deal with. I really appreciate it.
Let's give Mike a round of